Why is it so difficult to quit smoking? When we come into this world, we come in with no experiences, with no associations. We haven't learned anything. We come in as a blank slate of mind. We begin having our first experiences. We begin collecting a series of positive and negative experiences, which will determine our subconscious reactions and behavior in the future. Let's take for an example a child. The child for the first time has ice cream and has a positive experience. The child enjoys the pleasure of the ice cream and learns that ice cream is a positive, pleasurable experience. Let's take another example of a child having candy for the first time. Candy is also a positive to a child. It tastes good. Now let's take an example of a child for the first time in its life petting a cat. Let's say that the child is petting the cat and that the cat attacks or bites the child. The child then has a negative experience and associates that cat with negativity or non-pleasurable effect. So throughout life, a child begins collecting and having these positive and negative experiences. From around 8 years old, the child then begins to develop a critical, analytical mind. Let's say, for an example, you tell a child that the sky is blue. The child accepts it. Now, during this critical barrier, as it's formed, you tell a child the sky is red or the sky is purple. The child begins questioning and critically analyzing what you're saying and says, the sky isn't red, the sky isn't purple. That doesn't make sense. The child then has developed its critical analytical thinking and is able to think for himself. This is the mind, and 12% of the conscious mind is that what we use. Have you ever heard the expression that we only use 12% of our mind? Well, in a sense, this is true, because we only actually use 12% of our consciousness. This 12% contains our willpower, our logic, our reasoning, and our decision making. The 88%, however, is the power of the subconscious mind. And when we have learned something subconsciously, it is deeply rooted within our minds, and it is very difficult to change. This 12% represents our logic, our reasoning, our willpower, and it usually cannot compete with the power of the 88% of the subconscious mind. How will hypnosis help me quit smoking? Hypnosis is created by causing an overload of message units into the brain. The mind is only capable of accepting or handling so much information at a given time. Sources of message units include the environment, our body, our conscious and subconscious minds. Message units from the environment may include situations at work, the weather, and any other external forces that impact upon us that are not directly responding or caused from within our body. The next source of message units is our body. We may experience comforts, discomforts, pleasures, and things that are not so pleasurable throughout the day. Maybe we need to use the restroom. Maybe we've had an injury that's still recovering. The next source is our consciousness and our subconscious minds. These are the things that we think of consciously and subconsciously. So, an overload of message units causes the critical mind to be disorganized and begins breaking down the analytical, critical filter that we have in our minds. Once the analytical mind is broken down, this triggers the fight and flight response, which causes hypersuggestibility, giving us access to the subconscious mind. Once we have access to the subconscious mind, we can begin going in and changing the things that we experienced when we were younger or experienced in general, like negative things, to positive, etc., like smoking. Smoking at one point was a pleasurable experience. With hypnosis, we can reverse the programming and make them a negative, thereby allowing the mind, the subconscious mind, to free us from the reason, the deep-rooted reason why we smoke. Once we finish the session, we put the barrier back, allowing the subconscious and conscious minds to function the way that it was before the hypnotherapy began.